Hey, today I'm making a video just for you if you are looking to learn how to reduce noise in your ASMR videos. This video is also for you though, even if you don't make ASMR videos, you don't care about this information, but I hope that you enjoy the soft speaking with the beloved Tascam microphone and just listen to this very boring background noise. So I hope that you like it regardless of whether you make ASMR or not. But for those of you that do and you want to learn about the wisdom I have acquired over the last few years of making ASMR videos, then I really hope that this is helpful for you. So this is 8 tips that will help you reduce noise in your videos. And then I'll just give you a little bit of advice at the end, some things that I've learned and had to think about a lot after making all of these videos for all of this time. So the first thing that I think is the single most important thing to reduce noise in your videos is to treat your room. And what I mean by that is to reduce the amount of surfaces and walls where noise can reverberate and sort of muddy the audio recording that you take. So in order to treat a room, you don't need anything fancy. There's actually a lot of really cost-effective ways for you to do this, even if you don't have a professional studio. The way that I have done it many times in the past is just by padding my room with clothing and cushions, and I did get some foam panels, but I don't think that they're absolutely necessary. Basically, anything soft that can help absorb the noise and prevent it from reverberating off of all of the walls and surfaces around you. So right now, I'm in a kind of small bedroom that I'm using as an office. It is not sound treated almost at all. I have just bare walls all around, and the only fabric I have is this little sheet behind me hanging on a rolling clothing hanger. But in the past, I used to film in my closet where I had some fabric all around me, lots of clothing on hangers in front of me, and some foam pads on the walls all around my head so that when I was speaking, it had a lower chance of reverberating back and forth. And because you want to reduce the amount of walls and surfaces that sound can bounce off of, sort of tip number 1.1 to be in as small of a room as you can be, as is comfortable, which is why the closet was the perfect fit for me before, because it didn't take a lot of fabric or cloth to dampen the sound in that very small space. So that is my first tip for you. My second tip is to soften all of the surfaces in the area where you're recording. So this is kind of part of treating the room, but it's just like a little extra step. If you picture the movie A Quiet Place, where everything that is around them is soft so that it prevents them from accidentally making any noise, that's kind of what I try and do in a small way on my workspace here. So, for example, I always have a soft towel like this on my desk so that it prevents me from, if I bump the corner of my desk, or if I jostle my mic a little bit, or my keyboard is resting there and I nudge it a little bit, the chance that it'll actually make any audible noise is much lower. If you have any hazards around you that you are likely to bump into, obviously removing those is ideal. But if you have to keep them around, then using like soft things and soft fabrics around you to prevent you from making little bumps, that will just prevent the amount of edits and little cuts that you have to pull out of those sort of distracting noises that might make it into your video. So that's tip number 2, is soft surfaces wherever you can. This really is the only thing that I do right now is this blanket, but it helps a lot to have it on my desk. Even just like putting my elbow down on my desk makes kind of a noise, so having this here prevents that. And if you need to pick up or set down different objects when you're filming, that also prevents it from making a sound when you put them down on the table. So I hope that makes sense, and I think that'll really work for you as well. The third tip that I have for you is to record at nighttime. If you live somewhere near a busy street, or if your house is usually pretty active, nighttime is usually when people are resting and relaxing and don't have to move around as much, so that might prevent just sort of general noise in your household. And also there's a better chance that street noise won't be as much of an issue if you're filming at night. If you have the ability to film really deep into the middle of the night when everyone's asleep, that's great as well. Also way less street noise, but that's something that I found was always worth it, was to film later in the day, at least kind of like 6 p.m. onwards, but it depends on where you live. If you live somewhere that's really, really quiet at all hours of the day, then of course you have the freedom to film anytime, but nighttime is usually really helpful for those of us that live in a city. The fourth tip that I have is to make sure that all of your appliances are turned off. So for example, my office is right underneath the kitchen, so not a good time to run the dishwasher if I'm about to film a video. And if you have sort of like a centralized aircon or heating system that makes a lot of noise, if you can deal with turning that off just while you're filming, that would help a lot. When I lived in my old place and I had one of those portable air conditioners hooked up to the balcony door, I always had to turn that off for the bit of time that I was filming. Otherwise, the noise was just far too distracting, and that's something that you can definitely do. On that note, if you can reduce the noise coming from your computer or any other device that you might be having around you when you're filming, you can try and do that. Or if you are filming just on your phone with the built-in microphone or a microphone attached to your phone, just being as far away from your computer or other appliances as possible, anything that has a loud fan or makes a lot of noise, that can really reduce the annoying background noise that ends up in your video. The next tip I have is to make sure that your microphone is on the correct setting. This, of course, depends on which microphone you're using. For this Tascam, for example, there's only one setting, so I don't have to worry about that. But if I was using my Blue Yeti microphone that I have right here, there are a few different settings on the back of it that can really affect how the sound is coming into the mic. So, for example, if I had it on the circle setting, which is the omnidirectional, that means that the sound is being picked up from all around the mic. So if there's anything kind of noisy across from me on the other side of the microphone, it's going to pick all of that up as well. Whereas if you have it on the stereo option, which picks up sound from side to side on the Yeti, then you're only getting sound from each side of the mic and in front of you here, but not as much is getting picked up from the back. So in short, just depending on the microphone you're using, just make sure that it is on the correct setting so that you're not picking up extra noise around it that you don't need to be. The next tip that I have is something that I had to do all the time in my old house where I used to film a lot, is to pause for random noise or unexpected noises. So if you hear a loud thud, or if a car honks its horn outside, or if there's like a dog barking as it goes by your street, anything that's not going to last a long period of time, just like a temporary sort of jolt of noise, just pause while you're recording and then sort of re-say what you just said or redo what you just did. It is going to be much easier for you to just make a cut in your video and redo the part that got interrupted by the loud unexpected noise than it would be to try and remove that noise later and preserve what you just recorded. It's really hard to do that. So for me, I used to live next to a train and the whistle would go off every like 8 to 10 minutes. So I'd always have to pause what I was doing when I was recording and just wait for the train to pass, because it was much easier to do that, make the cut, and then pick up where I left off rather than remove the train noise. It was way too difficult to do that. Which leads me to the next tip, number 7, which I haven't brought up until this point in the video because it's so important to do the other 6 things first, or at least some of them. But number 7 is finally to actually use noise reduction filter in some sort of software where you are in post-production after you film your video. So for me, I used to record my audio and video separately, and I would do my noise reduction in a program called Audacity. It's a free program, and I'd love to make a video on how to do that one day. And then what I do now is I use DaVinci Resolve for the whole thing when I edit my videos, and it has a built-in noise reduction filter in DaVinci Resolve itself that you can apply to the audio that you've recorded. And you can just use DaVinci in both of these cases. I just used to use Audacity before because I would be recording the audio in Audacity directly, whereas if you record your audio and video together, or if you sync it up later and put it into DaVinci, you can do noise reduction in DaVinci Resolve also, which is also a free program, and I'd love to show you how I do that in a different video. But yeah, the actual noise reduction in post-production that you're doing should be one of the last steps that you do to prevent excessive noise in your videos, because the more that you have to apply noise reduction, the more distorted the audio becomes. You'll find that your voice sounds really tinny or almost wet, but not in a good way. If you're removing a ton of background noise in post, it's just not gonna sound as good. So if you can do any of these 6 previous things before you even hit record, that will reduce the amount that you have to get rid of after you're done filming and when you're editing your video. So that's tip number 7. And the last tip that I have is secretly not really a tip, but more of like a piece of advice. And that is, don't worry about it. Like, if you can't do all of the 7 things I just said, or if you can only do a couple of them, or you can't do any of them, just don't worry about it, because there's a whole realm of ASMR that is lo-fi or low fidelity, where people are really not focused on the background noise or quality of the audio in your video. They kind of like that it's raw, might be filmed right from your phone audio, nothing fancy at all. So if you don't have the equipment that you feel is necessary to get really nice, crisp sound, just don't worry about it. Just film it on your phone or film it on whatever mic you have, and just don't stress too much about the background noise. There will always be someone or many people that are not bothered by it, and at least the more that you try making videos and posting them, the more that you'll improve at the whole thing, and you can tweak and refine your noise reduction process as you go. But don't wait to start posting videos before you figure that out. Just post with what you have. But I do hope that these 8 tips will help you reduce the noise and understand why it's so important to treat your room and do these like preventative noise things, so that you're not relying on the noise reduction software to do it for you, because it's really just for those really, consistent hums that are in the background of your videos. But again, when you do noise reduction, it does distort the regular audio of your speaking voice. So keep that in mind. Anyway, I really hope that this was helpful to you and maybe gave you some things to think about that you hadn't thought about before, or things that you could try. Trust me, I have tried so many different setups over the years, and clearly my audio is not perfect either. You can kind of always hear my computer fan noise in the background, and I just can't care about it to be perfect, because otherwise I would never post anything. So I keep upgrading and tinkering with my setup with every video that I make, and it slowly gets better and better. But like I said, I've moved recently and I'm in a totally different environment, so I have to figure out what works best in this place. But at least I don't have as much street noise as I used to have, so that's not as much of an issue. But even if you have street noise or you live somewhere that's busy, just make it part of your video. Don't worry about it too much. I really personally feel that it's better to have natural sounding background noise in your videos than it is to have really over processed audio, because then it makes your voice sound really odd, and you'll kind of figure that out as you go and try using some different softwares and filters to do it. You'll kind of hear the difference, but that's why I try not to use noise reduction at all if I can get away with it. And if I do it, I just do like the lowest amount that I can get away with that still makes a difference for the audio in the video but doesn't distort my voice at all. So sometimes I post ones that are not that great and I think, oh, maybe I shouldn't have bothered with the noise reduction. Maybe I should have just posted it as it was. But yeah, if you can reduce as much background noise as possible with the tips that I gave you, I really hope that it's helpful. And if you want me to make more little wisdomous videos like this, let me know in the comments. And if you weren't here for the ASMR tips, then let me know if you liked listening to this as background noise. And yeah, I hope it was nice for you. For those of you that do want these tips, I did make a little image that you can download from my Ko-fi page. So if you go to the link in my description and go to my Ko-fi page, there's a spot where you can download it for free as like a little cheat sheet so that you've got a little list to check before you start filming each video. And yeah, I just like making things like that, so I hope that you find it useful. If you did find this video helpful, you want to support the channel, or you want me to make more stuff like this in the future, you can buy me a coffee on my Ko-fi page if you'd like, but you're absolutely not obligated to do that. I would still love for you to download the image for free. Please don't feel obligated, but it is there if you would like to support. And thank you for sticking it out till the end of the video. I hope you found it useful, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you.